Let's do transfer deadline day first, get that out of the way before we do the game tomorrow. So with Ryan Broom and Serhat Tasdemir both close to making moves away, just talk us through the thinking for those two.
Well, starting with Serhat, we feel that the next part of his development is to go out and get games. We felt that all season, really. We couldn't do anything in the first window, unfortunately. And now this opportunity's come along for him. I think it's a really good opportunity. His family's up north, so that works geographically. Good manager with Harry Kewell, and we're going fine. So hopefully he gets game time. We'll monitor how he does, keep a close eye on him, and he'll get that experience that he needs at the moment. That's the next part of his development. And then Ryan was a difficult one because the boy's been unlucky. He would probably say that he's probably not had a fair crack at the whip, which I'd probably agree with, in the sense that we brought him in and a week later we brought Sammy in. So that made it very, very difficult. I was very patient with Sammy throughout the time that he was maybe having a bad run. Then the emergence of Flynn Clark. And really, I think Ryan and Sammy are quite similar in the sense of how they play that position, whereas Flynn's different. So I feel that I need Flynn because he just plays it differently. Obviously, Ryan can play as a wing-back, but Idris and Joe are very strong there. So it's been difficult with Ryan. And I don't like bringing players in, which I did in the summer, and it not working out. I always feel that I would say not failed them, but I haven't got the best out of him. But I think he's been very unlucky at times, and it's just sometimes can happen in football where you bring someone in, and obviously we had to bring Sammy in, and just due to the fact that how well he did last season, and the emergence of Flynn has really been the key to why I can let Ryan go out on loan. And ideally, I want to keep everyone because we've got so many games, but I had to be fair to Ryan as well. And he's obviously got this opportunity to go and play. So again, we'll monitor it and see how he goes.
Having worked with Ryan for the past 6 months, he has these two positions, as you touched upon, that he can play. Are you settled in your mind as to which you think is his best one? Is playing in that attacking midfield role ultimately where you'd see him?
Well, that's what I brought him in for. I've watched Ryan a lot, going all the way back to last season. And he was very strong in that position. I liked what I've seen. There was improvement needed in terms of finding space quicker in tight areas. So we brought him in for that reason. A very positive signing for us. But then a week later, the chairman rings me and says, we can sign Sammy. And I'm like, okay. But I'm not going to say no to it. So that's just what happened. So he's been very unfortunate, I would say, probably, Ryan. And I hope he does well there.
As it stands, just gone 2:00 on deadline day. Obviously, never say never, but do you think you're done for ins and outs now?
Yeah, I mean, with Ryan going, it has freed up a little bit, and the chairman's happy for me to sort of use that if I need it. But I think it's too late, and we didn't know what was going on with Ryan until this morning, really, to finalise it. So I think I've said all along that I'm happy with the squad I've got. I think we've covered two positions and two players in each positions. We've just got through the real winter months. We're now coming into February. Look outside, the weather's picking up. That might have an advantage to some of the players in the squad coming back to us, people like Reedy and things like that. So I think we're happy with the squad we've got. Look, you never know in the last few hours, but as you know, I'm not one for just going bringing someone in for the sake of it. It would have to be someone in that comes in and really improves us. So I feel that we're fine with what we've got.
Yeah, and presumably from what you're saying, if you've got a clearer picture on Jack Taylor and his injury, presumably you're not looking to do any cover move there. He's okay?
Well, that was the thing we had to sort out this morning. But the boy says he's fine. A little bit of concern that he felt fine before the game and then something came on. But we think we know what it is, so we're hopeful that there's a possibility he'll definitely, if it carries on the way it is, he'll definitely be fit for Crewe. There won't be a problem there. So that was something we had to look at today. Young Ronnie Edwards, he's another one that obviously would have been involved tomorrow, but he picked up a thigh problem, which is a longer thing. He's now going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So he's had a nightmare of a time, and it's someone we could really have done with. So, and I look back at the season as a whole, and obviously we're up there. We've just come off the back of a good run with a disappointing performance against Shrewsbury. I don't think it's time to press the panic button. I think we're the same as most League One teams that are challenging. I think it's really important that we keep our best players fit. I think if you look at the teams up there, and we're one of them, if you were to lose 2 or 3 of your main players for any team, it would be a real problem. But the other side of that is I can't have a squad of 30. It's just not going to work. So I think we've got to be aware that there's a lot of players in that squad at the moment with freshness that haven't played many games. You know, I look back at Saturday's game. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have picked that team. That was. I'll take that one because looking back at the game, a couple of players shouldn't have played. I should have freshened it up more, and that's what I'll be doing tomorrow.
With Louis Reed, we haven't seen so much of him recently, but with the Jack situation, of course, he is a player that you've got in the mix there and can come back in.
Absolutely, and you know, Reed's been great, good trainer, gets on with his job. There was 1 or 2 inquiries about him. I had a good, honest conversation with Reedy. He was fine. He wanted to go and try and get more regular football. His contract is up in the summer, and there's nothing we can do with these. There's 2 or 3 that are like that. We can't do anything and know where we're at. But no, nothing's happened with Reedy. So yeah, he's always been there, and he's played his part this season. It's been difficult to get 4 central midfield players into my 18-man squad, and at the moment it's been Ethan, Brownie, and Jack. But Reedy, you know, is still there, and I know he'll do a job, and he'll be involved tomorrow.
With Ronnie Edwards being, if you like, cooped up at home for his 2 COVID spells, do you think that contributed to picking up the knock, or is it just bad luck that he's now got a thigh problem?
I think it might have had something to do with it. He was out for 30 days in total without training. We brought him back. He had a week of fitness training, no ball stuff, just running, and he came through it fine. And then on Friday, he was going to do 60 minutes for the youth team, as I think I said. He felt something. We didn't think it was too serious, but obviously it is. We sent him for a scan Saturday. We got the results Saturday night. So that's really, really disappointing for him and frustrating for him. But look, it happens. I spoke to him yesterday. He has to get on with it. He's a strong kid mentally. Again, he'll come back for the business end of the season. We could have done with him. I must admit, because the boy's a good player. Regardless of he's only young, he's a real part of the first team squad. But you have to carry on, and you know we've got others that need to step up. And the problem I've got at the moment is there's so many games on a Tuesday. It's difficult to get any practice matches in. You know, so we have to be careful, and logistically we have to get our training sessions right. But tomorrow, look, it's an opportunity for some that haven't been playing, but it'll still be a very, very strong team and a strong A team.
Does Flynn Clark fit into that category? We haven't seen so much of him recently, and of course earlier in the competition had a really good run with his goals.
Yeah, Flynn does, and he always has been. He needed to just, after the lockdown, I don't think he came back in great nick in terms of sharpness wise. So what we did was we stuck him in and played a couple of youth games because he wasn't in the 18. You know, and just to keep his fitness up. So he should be fine. You know, he'll be involved tomorrow. He came onto the scene, you know, for the Rochdale game, and then he played it against Milton Keynes, and then obviously we had the break. And I just felt when he came back, he probably felt it more than some in terms of losing that little bit of sharpness and fitness.
Is that tough for the younger ones? Because it's an unusual challenge when suddenly the club shuts down for a few weeks. Presumably, if you're a Nathan Thompson or a Mark Beavers, it's easier to handle.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, I think also the fact that Flynn hadn't had many games, like Tom and Beavers are playing pretty much every week. They came back, you could see there was a real freshness to them. Whereas Flynn probably didn't need the lockdown, if you know what I mean. He needed to keep training and playing. So I think you could see that in his performances. He seemed to fatigue quite quickly in both the Rochdale and Milton Keynes games. And also you've got the nervous energy that'll come out because he's only a young boy. But no, look, I think everyone knows my opinion on Flynn. I've said it enough times. I think the boy's got a bright future. Lots of things to work on. But yeah, he's very much part of the squad, especially now with Ryan going out. It means that I've just got him and Sammy for the 10. Others could play there, but naturally that's their positions.
With the game tomorrow night, it's always a bit harder to call the opposition because you know they could well make changes. But Tranmere, having had the real difficulties of last season, finding themselves back in League Two, change of management, Keith Hill coming in, of course, he knows what it's all about, and they're going really well at the moment.
They are. We've won 4 on the bounce. They made a good appointment in Keith. You know, he knows the league. Good manager, good experience. They've got a really strong team. I think a lot of their players are probably playing at a level too low for them, you know, no disrespect to the level. You look at their front three, that it could be is Woolery, Vaughan and Lloyd. Spear in the middle of the park. You got Clark at the centre half. You got some good players in that team. It's going to be a tough game tomorrow night. Tough game. It's always tough when you go to Tranmere. So I don't expect them to make too many changes. Looking at their last game in this tournament, they didn't make too many changes. I think they all want to play because they're flying. And of course, there's money involved if you win it, you know, so we're mindful of that as well. So I would imagine that we'll probably make more changes than them, but you never know.
Yeah, and of course not ideal to have the long trip, but you just deal with it, I suppose, and get on with it.
Yeah, do you know what? It's relentless. It really is. We knew that. We have to get on with it. Like I said earlier, looking back at the game and looking at, I'm asking the players to climb Everest in every game, and it's impossible to do it in this season. And that's where maybe I should freshen up a little bit more on Saturday. So, but we move on quickly. We know the performance wasn't good enough. But this is a big game for us tomorrow night to react to that defeat. The players are still very, very confident. We had a good chat about Saturday this morning, dealt with that, and now we move on to the next one. And like I say, I'm looking forward to it. There's going to be a bit of freshness in the team. Also, it gives certain players opportunities, you know, in particular the attacking players. We haven't been scoring enough goals. So this is why, you know, we have a squad.